Right, so we have this vegan lady who is pissed off because vegans are telling other vegans not to have kids. Her point is that if you don't want to have kids, don't have them, but don't tell others not to have them. And in putting forth her argument, she uses many logical fallacies which are very similar to those used by meat eaters when they defend meat eating to vegans. And in order to point out those fallacies, I am going to say a few things which would give an impression that I am for meat eating, whereas I am actually against meat eating. I am not advocating that. This is only to point out the fallacies. The same case with rape and theft and so on and so forth. So let us see what her arguments are.
I mean, it's just really arrogant to say things like you shouldn't have children when you don't even know what it's like to want a child, to really want a child, because there are people like that, believe it or not. There are lots of people that want their own children, that want to raise a child, even though it may be difficult as hell, they still want to do it.
Right, so what she is saying is there are people who have a desire to have kids, and if they want to fulfill that desire, there is nothing wrong. You don't have a right to tell them not to have kids and not to fulfill their desire. This is the same argument which is used by meat eaters. They say that there are people who have a desire to eat meat. They want it. There is an urge to eat meat. Who are you to tell them not to eat meat? Do you see the similarity here? Of course, the vegan answer is that yeah, you have desire, but those desires cannot justify the suffering you impose on sentient beings. And that is exactly the same argument which antinatalists say. That yeah, you might have a desire, but that is not the point. It is quite irrelevant. Despite your desire, you can't use your desire as a justification just to bring a new sentient being who is capable of suffering and increase the suffering. That's the point. So your point of desire is quite irrelevant, to say the least.
All this stuff about overpopulation, about having too many children, about so many orphans, these are all just reasons that just stemmed after the fact that they've already decided they don't want children.
Well, this is true and false. There are, broadly speaking, two groups of people who are against procreation. There is this group which is environmental antinatalists, is what I call. And these are the people who are concerned about the environmental degradation which overpopulation is causing. And for them, the primary concern is overpopulation. It is not a byproduct of anything else. That is the core argument. And for those people, your accusation is completely false. But there's other group of people for whom all this overpopulation, environmental antinatalism is only an incidental argument, and I fall in that group. And the argument of these people is that when you procreate, you are bringing a sentient life capable of suffering, and you are increasing suffering. So you should not procreate, and that all comes from David Bennett's asymmetry and everything. But at the same time, overpopulation, environmentalism is only an incidental fact which bolsters the core antinatalist cause. And in that case, even though your accusation is true, it seems true because you've only considered the incidental part of it. You have completely overlooked or ignorant of the core argument of antinatalism about suffering. So that's the point. The core argument is you should not be increasing suffering, as well as you're causing overpopulation and all those things.
There are good reasons to have children as well. So if you want children, then you could come up with a whole, list of reasons as well to have children. It's not black and white, and you can't make people feel guilty for wanting to have children.
Give me a list. Give me one good reason why you should be procreating with the conditions today, or why should you be procreating at all. You haven't listed any reasons, any lists. You just said there are good reasons. And this is similar to what meat eaters say, by the way, that there are good reasons why you should eat meat. You can't make people feel guilty about it. You see the similarity? And the vegan answer is, of course, the goal is not to make them guilty. Making them guilty is only a mechanism for them to appreciate or understand the suffering they are causing to other sentient beings. And that is exactly the same argument of antinatalists. It is not that we want to make parents feel guilty for reproducing. Guilt is a mechanism for them to make aware of the suffering they are causing, to make aware of the new sentient beings they are going to bring in this world, to make aware of the imposition of life they are doing on new people.
I do respect a lot of these people that have done these videos about how we have so many people on this planet and how we should be, no longer breeding and all of this stuff. I get that, but the problem is that if you really think that me, for example, I'm just going to use me as an example, me not having a child is somehow going to fix these problems, it's just completely not true. Me having or not having a child is not going to fix the orphanage crisis. Do you hear this? 62 people on this planet own half of the world's wealth. So even if I stopped popping out babies or we stopped popping out babies, we're still going to have an inequality issue, and there are still going to be babies being born without enough resources to live properly.
Surprise, this is coming from a vegan. See the similarity now between the arguments which meat eaters give. Meat eaters say that one person, me for example, eating meat or not eating meat is not going to solve the problem of animal suffering at all. This is so much more than just an individual choice, and that's true. Just by me giving up meat is not going to change anything really in term as far as animal suffering is concerned, as far as all factory farming and slaughtering is concerned. And the vegan answer is that does not justify you eating meat. Just because there is wrong happening all over the world does not justify you doing something wrong. And that is exactly the same argument here. Just because people are reproducing and population problem is not going to be resolved by you not reproducing does not mean that it is okay for you to reproduce. I mean, this is coming from a vegan. Really? Do you not see the similarity here? I'm really surprised.
But again, simply telling them that they just should not have children is literally not going to be a problem fixer in any way, shape, or form. Especially if people like vegans that are generally a little bit more intelligent. I don't want to say that, it sounds really grandiose, but whatever. Generally a little bit more educated, intelligent. Having these people completely not have children, I mean, what are we left with? We're left with everyone else.
Right, so the eugenics argument. Vegan children of vegan parents are going to be vegan for the whole life, so we are increasing vegans, and that's why vegans should have children. Very similar to what religions do, like Muslims should have more Muslims, Christians should have more Christians, Hindus, and so on and so forth. Obviously, this is eugenics. This is a mix of eugenics and propaganda. Eugenics because veganism is not a genetic phenomenon; it is a memetic thing.
Of course, just because you are a vegan and you have children and you're trying to raise them vegan does not necessarily mean that they will become vegan. That is obviously the case. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to turn vegan. That being said, the way that a person is raised, the way that a child is raised, the environment that they're raised in, the values that they're taught are very, 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 very important to the person that they're going to become later on. Again, you can't fully control everything. However, just look at social science.
And there is no guarantee when you are having a children, you are having a big gamble. Okay, you can't guarantee that your child is going to remain vegan. And further, you can't guarantee that the child of your child is going to be vegan, and so on and so forth. So the probability increases at such a rate that at certain point in future you would have someone in your progeny who is going to eat meat. Very high probability that way. So you are doing a very risky gamble here, and that is completely against veganism. There is an argument saying that you can't guarantee your children would be vegan, but you can't guarantee you yourselves would be vegan in future. Of course, you can't guarantee that. It is uncertain whether I will be vegan in next 10 years. But does that uncertainty justify me to increase that uncertainty, to propagate that uncertainty in future? My uncertainty is going to die with me. But if I have children and those children keep on having children, some point in time this is going to be over. Veganism either is going to be converted into a religion like Buddhism is today, or vegetarianism is today in India. There are many vegetarians who don't know why they are vegetarian. It's just religious thing. And they kill people for, petty things, but they're vegetarian. And that's going to happen if you make veganism a religion. So yeah, you can't guarantee. It's all a gamble. Eugenics, mixing eugenics and gambling makes no point.
First of all, just because someone wants to have a child does not mean that they are being selfish. It's one of our inherent desires. A lot of people have maternal and paternal instincts. We are designed to want to have children. This is one of our traits as human beings. How is it being selfish because you want your own child? Yes.
Right, so give me one selfless or altruistic reason why I should have my own kids, why I should procreate. The answer usually starts with I want to. And you are talking about those desires. Desires is, what is the definition of desire? I want something. Is that not selfish? How is that selfless? And I'm not even considering the debate about nature versus nurture, whether the desire is really natural, biological, or whether it is because of bringing up, whether it is because of societal pressure, etc. And there's a lot of debate from both sides, and I'm not going in there. But the mere fact that you're pointing out a desire as a selfless thing is self-contradictory. It is selfish. There is no selfless reason for me to bring a new being. There is no being at my doorstep requesting me to give them birth. So it is completely selfish. You can't use the justification of having a desire, having a natural urge to do something in order to create harm to another sentient being. That's exactly what vegan answer to meat eaters is. Many meat eaters say that it's a natural desire to eat meat. We evolved eating meat. So it's a natural desire to eat meat. And vegan answer is that, yeah, well, that's not the point. Okay, you might have a desire, but despite that, you don't have a right to harm another sentient being, to cause suffering to another sentient being. And it's the same case here. Even you might have a desire. That does not justify you bringing a new sentient being capable of suffering. This is a similar argument which could be put for a rapist or for a thief. A rapist say, I have a natural desire to rape women. It's a fetish. Would you then say that rape is okay? A pedophiles say, I have a natural desire to have sex with children. Is that okay then?
And the thing is, what exactly is not having a child actually helping this orphan crisis, right? These people are talking like what they're doing is somehow really benefiting this planet, or we should be doing something, but we should stop being so selfish and do something about this planet and all these orphans, millions and millions of orphans.
The common sense thing. By not bringing a child, I am not bringing a sentient being who is capable of suffering and who is going to suffer, because life involves suffering, who is going to suffer as a process of death at least, if nothing else. Then who is not going to compete for resources with the existing orphans who are already short of resources, who is not going to add stress on those resources. Are these two reasons not enough? Can't you see by just not bringing a new child, I'm benefiting the already existing orphans, I'm already reducing suffering? And then carbon footprint and greenhouse gases, global warming, climate change and everything, consumption, all you're contributing to all sorts of exploiting systems. So that child also would be contributing to it. All that is nullified. Are these not the reasons enough, or do you not understand them?
Again, you not having kids or having kids is not going to fix or make a problem worse.
I'm really surprised. Why are you even vegan? You not having meat or having meat is not going to solve any problem. Does that mean you should have meat? Similarly, you not having kids or not having kids is not going to solve any problems. Does that mean you should have kids? Well, the one problem it is going to solve is at least that new potential sentient being which is going to suffer is not going to suffer by you not bringing him or her into existence. Is that not enough? Apart from all the, benefiting the existing people, etc., which I have explained earlier. Individual contribution does matter. Otherwise, why do we have ethics? Like, nothing is going to solve, so I can behave whatever way I want. That's not the point. And I can't imagine a vegan saying that. Why are you even vegan? Seriously. Anyway, I think you need to introspect a little and come up with good arguments, good reasons why one should have children.